My name is Patricia Lasher. The scenario that I chose is the scenario number 2, where the employees are sitting around in a intense discussion about some policy changes. So you've got this group of employees who are just sitting around, essentially just complaining is what they're doing. If you've ever worked in retail, this happens a lot. People just kind of corral in groups, and they just complain and vent about things that have changed, or their hours aren't what they want and stuff like that. So and then they see a supervisor, they see a leader coming towards them, and everybody hushes, and they're like, oh, did she hear, that sort of thing. So you've got this group of employees. These are the folks that are involved in our scenario. And then you have this one employee who does choose to speak out and say, hey, this is, I was in the break room when this is happening. This is what they were talking about. Just kind of giving you a once over so that way you are aware, which really is what should be happening. Like, these employees, I'll get to that later. So it appears that these employees would rather just completely avoid the conflict, or just avoid coming to me as their leader to discuss this. They want to just kind of talk amongst themselves and vent, which is normal. Like, that's a normal human thing to want to do. What they're wanting, it seems like, is to just get rid of this policy completely, because none of them seem to like it. But obviously that's not an option, because corporate sent it down and we have to follow it. I work at Target, and there are a lot of policies that we have that I don't necessarily agree with. There are things and systems in place that we have that work, and then there's an update, and so the running joke around Target is, I hope they don't realize that this works, because then they'll try to fix it. So it seems that what they want is for this policy to just go away, but obviously we can't do that. So the way that that would change addressing the conflict is you can't. So like, when I took the test, I got mostly collaborative and harmonizing. Both of those options are out the window, because you're not going to be able to please this team. Because what they want is for this thing to go away, but that is not an option. They have to abide by this policy. So you're going to have to kind of appeal to their logic, to just kind of telling them, like, this is the way that it is. So how can I help you guys understand this better, so that way you're not as upset. Maybe this is a training gap. Maybe this is trying to figure out what the issue is here. But this would impact my approach, because my two preferred ways of getting through a conflict are compromise, or not compromising, but collaborating, talking to all the individuals involved and trying to get everyone what they want, or harmonizing with them or accommodating them, and again, to get them what they're wanting. But that is off the table. So I think the strategy that I would use with this team is going to be more of the compromise, which actually scored a 9 in. I got 10 in the two that were the highest for me, but 9, compromise was a 9. So for me, I think I would sit down with this team and try to compromise with them. Like, hey, guys, I know that you don't like it. I know that this is kind of new to us. We're not used to it yet. We like the way that it was working before, but this is where we're at. So let's figure out a way for this to work. So just kind of going through like the 5 steps of feedback, because obviously this is not something that we want to continue. We can't just have groups of employees sitting around just kind of complaining and venting, because it's going to affect morale. It's going to spread negativity. It's just not something that we want. So I would try to get everybody down in a group, kind of have maybe like a focus group, and talk to everybody at once, everybody that was involved in the discussion. Say, hey guys, I brought you in today because I want to talk about the conversations that was happening in the break room. I know that y'all were on break. We weren't on the clock. We were off the floor, which I appreciate. Please don't discuss things like this on the floor. But I really wish that you'd come to me about it. So I'd really like to speak to you about what was going on in there. Once I have their permission, we're going to just focus on like what was happening. So, hey, this is what I observed. I came into the break room and I saw you guys kind of discussing this policy change, which you're totally allowed to do. It is a totally normal thing to want to do, but let's do it in the appropriate way. So what I don't want to happen is you guys kind of all mosh together and we're just venting. Because if we're going to spend our energy discussing, a change or something like this, we need to do it in a way that's going to be constructive, which is why I brought you guys here today. So when we have situations like that, it can really affect the morale of the team. Negativity spreads so much faster than positivity. So what I really want to do is let's try to talk about this. I want to make sure everybody understands, first of all, what this policy is saying and the reason that it was enlisted. But also, let's try to make something positive out of this. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss what's changed. Let's discuss the parts of this policy that you guys are not particularly fond of, and see if maybe we can find a way to just make this easier on us, because things are going to change. We have to learn from those things. And then from there, we're going to go forward. We have to abide by the policy, but what we can do is find a way for everybody to do it well, and so that we understand.